Alright, let's do some painting. So the first thing we got here, we got some Tau burst cannon, accelerator burst cannon, excuse me. Got some Tau accelerator burst cannon housing. And if you can see there's I'll poke at it here. See how that's not black? That looks sloppy because it's like part of this black housing kind of thing going on. So, yep, we're gonna paint that black. And our tool is a toothpick. I think it's great for small stuff like this. Let me make sure you guys are looking where I'm looking. Alright. Now I'm not pushing very hard with the toothpick. That's one of the keys to this, is you just kind of very gently, just kind of pushing around a little bead of glue. When you look at it from this angle, you can kind of see that, yeah, I screwed up a little bit over here. It kind of went outside the line. So something we can do to maybe fix that a little bit is take the brown toothpick. What's the word here? I segregate them by color groups. Ooh, that's terrible. Yep, that's gonna need fixed later. Oh well. Yeah, so we'll just put that away. Alright, also we'll do a little bit on the top here. Just on the edge. And this paint's so thin and watered down that I don't have to worry about this leaving like a texture to it. And if it does, this is on the underside of a Tau hammerhead anyway. I don't think anyone will see it. But I gotta do at least a basic job on it. I can't just walk away like that. That's not good enough. Alright, so as you can see, well, maybe you can't see it here. Basically just add a little bit of a lip to that black part. Instead of having it look sloppy and brown. It still looks kind of sloppy, but there will be, ooh, yeah, we missed a angle right there. Look at that. Well, suppose while I have it in my hand, I can probably do a little bit more down there. Now, that's not really that great. You can see that. That's on that left side there, of course. Yeah. Alright, I'm to the point where I'm afraid I'm going to touch. In fact, you can tell I already did there. You know, I'm going to touch something that's drying and I shouldn't, so it's a good time to put the model down. We can always come back and put more paint on it later. And we will. So, here we go. Here's another one. The exact same thing. Just going to sweep the workspace real quick there. Alright, and we're going to do that exact same thing we were doing there before. We're going to do it again, except this time I have the zoom on, so maybe you guys like that better. You can see it better. Since I like to work right there. Let's get the camera right on that spot. You kind of notice, you know, I'm not exactly methodical here. I kind of jump around sometimes on the piece, and that's okay. Anything and everything needs to be done on this model, so if I feel like jumping around, I'm still productive. Yeah, I got a little aggressive there, so take a brown toothpick and we're just going to kind of wipe some of that away. And we're going to wipe it on the paper between each wiping on the piece. Alright, so, again, not done, but progress. So, next part of those is the burst cannon part. Well, white speck of dust on the barrel there. All right, let's get that out of there. So we'll sweep it all down anyway before we get started here. All right, now what can we do here? All right. Well, these tan ammo belts, I guess I've always kind of assumed that's what they were. It's like an ammo belt that goes up into the housing here when you put these together. So I had to freehand some lines on it. These lines are sculpted on the front, but on all the other sides I had to freehand them. So, okay, put the black away. You have to use Commando khaki. Clean up those lines a little bit. Gotta violently shake the paint here off camera. Always good to mix them up. I haven't painted in a couple days. Alright, we got a nice bit of paint on the lip. So, zoom you back in. Yeah, we're just gently pushing the paint onto there with the toothpick. I know it's not a usual technique. You could do this with brush, obviously. In fact, it would probably be better to do it with brush, but then you have to rinse the brush, and the brush is only useful for so long before the paint gets kind of hard on it, and you gotta move on. So I just learned to do some of this stuff with toothpick. A lot of these little small details. Alright. Let's do the other side here. Flip it. If you guys have noticed, I'm a slight bit shaky. I'm doing what I can here to try to, you can see as I paint, I kind of put my fingers, I kind of try to rest as many of my fingers as I can somewhere on the piece, something, just anything to help me be stable while I'm trying to paint a straight line free-handed. Let's try to see, there's that bead there. Let's try to get that bead more smoothed out. All right, now, again, this is not an exhaustive process. We're not going to completely finish it all at once. We're going to do a little bit of work. We're going to, frankly, in my case, I don't know about you guys, but in my case, I forget which parts I painted and which parts I didn't. So after a while, it kind of runs up against the limits of my memory. And I just put the piece down. I don't want to accidentally smear something I had just worked on. And we can just pick it up in 20 minutes and do it again. So does not have to be an exhaustive process. Notice I'm only doing one side of these lines too because of my right hand dominance. So that's fine. We'll just come back and do the other side, and I'll hold the piece basically in a opposite configuration, but that's later. Alright, that's enough of that for now. Again, it's not an exhaustive process. We can just come on back. Alright, well, I guess it's still in towel land here. We have a... Well, you're not going to find one of these. This is two Tau XV8 shield generators from the classic kit, by the way, glued around a plastic card post, I suppose, that I made with magnets on the bottom. To show you here, let me zoom out real quick, how this works. So here is one of my finished Tau XV8 battle suits. Kind of looks gross with that LED lighting, sorry. But this is also magnetized. This is, oh my. As you can see, this one, I just wanted to paint it tan and brown instead of just brown, because the brown's boring. But this one's done here. But we're actually working on the guts on the inside of the shield generator today. So as you can see, I mean, on this one it's already done, but we have some tan and some brown, you know, and then the glowing, I tried to make it glowing, but just this bright blue, like, oh, there's energy coming out. It's generating this huge electromagnetic field. And it's protecting the battlesuit infantrymen from harm. So, magnets, love them. So anyway, back to this piece. We gotta work on the interior here. And in fact, I actually need this piece as a guide to kind of help me. All right. Plan of attack here. So, I think what we're gonna do. Yeah, this toothpick sucks. Let's get a fresh one. And by fresh, I mean more pointy. That's the desirable trait here. All right. So we're going to do some commando khaki on some more delicate interior parts of the shield generator. Oh, that's too big of a bead. Let's get a tinier bead here. There's a little shelf. Here we go. There's a little shelf in there I want to get the khaki on. In fact, actually, I want to feel it with my toothpick first. There we go. Yep, a little step right there. It's kind of crazy how even when I look at it, like the shadows and the LED lighting and all that, it's kind of hard to tell where it is until you color it. So all right. Yeah, so See, that's pretty wet in there. It's just one coat. We'll have to do more. There's also another little shelf bit over here we're going to have to get. As you can tell, my Commando khaki is a little wetter than I would like for toothpick work, but, well, as it evaporates over time here, it'll get a little bit better. Alright, so those two tan shelves in there. Now I actually have to flip the piece and do it on the other side. Just a quick shout out to the guy on eBay who was selling extra towel shield generators, because I really need it. I've consumed a ton of these things. But, you know, a couple dollars for bits. It's worth it. If you're into this hobby, it's worth it. Alright, so we got the one shelf there, and that shelf. And then flipping it, we got that shelf, and that shelf. Now, obviously, that tan paint in there, it ain't done, you know. It's going to dry. It's not going to be a full, rich color, because it needs multiple coats. Any light color, especially if it's a little bit more watered down than it should be, it's going to take multiple coats. Let's put that away. It's good progress. All right, so Tau, nobody likes them. They're boring, but I like them. But instead, or not instead, we're gonna move on to the next workload here, which is Ultramarines. And on these, I believe I'm also doing toothpick work as opposed to brush work. Let's get my pieces ready here. Alright, now I haven't painted these in a couple days, so I'm going to start by just a light dust brush, you know. There's all kinds of little hairs and all kinds of little crap that floats around the house. And it'll land on your minis, and then you'll paint it, and then you'll notice there's like a hair, like a little plastic fiber, kind of stuck in the paint. Then you have to pull it out, it damages the paint. That's no good. That's why if I haven't painted in a couple days, I like to clean it up a little bit. Oops. We're down here. So, what to do with this piece? What does it need? How about black in those little gaps there? Not enough black there. I really want that high contrast between the dark, you know, the black in between these metal bits, and then the very brightness of the metal. Actually, I need to shake that. Now there's a little bit more black paint on this lip. All right. All right, and then for a little pro gamer move, I'm actually going to take my finger here. I'm just going to kind of rub it over. Yeah, I don't really get much, but I'm just going to kind of rub it over the surface, not pressing hard at all. And that's what I call a wipe painting technique. And what that is, that wasn't really actually a great example. Actually, a better example of how that's done is if you look at these. how I painted the black in that line. That's not ink. That's Citadel black. Literally, I mean, I did this a couple days ago, but I literally put the paint in here, and as you can imagine, it's, you know, you've got a toothpick here, you're, you know, putting paint in there. You're gonna get some up on the sides here. So, you know, you paint maybe I don't know, maybe about a centimeter or so of length, and then you take your clean finger and you just wipe. And that's this. That's all I did on this. As you can see, there's still some black, dark kind of stain on the sides here and there. That's fine. It's not very much to clean up. So that's what I call a wipe. It's very useful painting. I guess I do it more with towel. Here's another example. That black line in between the tan and the brown there, another example of that. But that's how you do that and get it pretty clean. I just like it because it's high contrast. All right, so I did something on that piece. We can put that away, the lightning claw. But don't worry, here's another one. Maybe it needs the same thing. Ooh, it definitely needs the same thing. All right, so. Just those nice little trenches there on the model. Just feel it. I'm just sticking black paint in there. Now you can just paint the whole thing metal, and then just like put a like a Nuln Oil dark wash. I don't have that out, but actually, like, if I can help it, I prefer to use black paint in those cracks. I do use washes sometimes, but of course, GW didn't sell washes back when I started doing the Warhammer hobby like 20 years ago. In 2005, whenever that was. Alright, I guess we'll do a little wipe on that. Alright, put it in the drying rack, don't care. Okay. Now some, well, let's take a look at this guy. So he, actually, not quite sure what to do with him here. So I got his chest, and well, actually a lot of pieces of him out of this Ultramarines upgrade kit, which is great. So the piece in question here is this torso with like leather strips, studded leather armor, I suppose. And yeah, you can see I'm painting it a little differently than how Games Workshop wants you to do it. I'm debating if I want to do white on these little, I don't know what they are, these little things. Of course, I need to make a decision. How is that going to fit in with the color balance here? That's, Are those white or are those silver? Here, get that up close there, yeah. And of course, the other question is there's studs inside there, so maybe maybe paint it white and then have maybe like gold studs. White on gold on white though. That's kind of I don't know. But well, it can't be blue. Right? It can't be blue. Probably don't want it to be gold. Gold around the belt, I guess, is kind of obnoxious. So, yeah, it's probably going to be white. It probably should be white. White, and you know what? Maybe even little blue studs. Right? Little little adamantium gems made of, you know, the same material that the armor is made out of. So either way, I think I just figured it out. I think that should be painted white. White's a really tricky color. Really tricky color here. So shake up a paint here. We're going to start with Citadel Ceramite White. Yep, Citadel base. This stuff is, well, it's something. I'll go over my brush pile over here and get, yeah, that's a good brush. What I'm trying to do here. And real quick check. I'm going to do white. I'm going to go brush wet. Is there anything else that maybe I could put white on with a brush? So let's just review these other pieces. They're about to come around. His white scouter looks pretty clean. I don't think that needs any more coats. And of course, actually, this is ceramite white base, not, well, I got this old skull white. I use this as the layer. The reason is ceramite white, like it leaves a texture. Like a bumpy-ish texture. I don't know, maybe it's the one I have, but this skull white leaves a lot more smooth finish. So I like to do this on some of the later coats. You know, we're trying to take something that's this maroon red. That's actually a scab red there, and we're actually going to try to cover it with white. But yeah, that's why we're not doing... No other model is eligible for receiving ceramite white. Those things, if they do need white, they need the white layering, which is skull white. So, all right, so we're going to grab a little bit of that. And again, because I said this paint has like a weird texture and stuff, I don't take any chances. And that's why we're doing this one with brush. If I did this with toothpick, it would look terrible. The texture would look terrible. The paint itself, after it dried, would look terrible. One of the keys to painting like that's not even necessarily a large area, large surface area, but one of the keys to painting in general, especially when you're kind of worried about how the texture is going to come out and whatnot. The key is just very gently make sure you're rubbing the brush around. All over the place. All the time. You don't want any lumps. You don't want the paint to lump up anywhere. All right. So there we go. First coat of white. Again, not entirely sold if that's how I'm going to do it or not. I actually kind of like it. Color balance wise. Yeah, I kind of like it. So we're going to rinse that brush now off camera here. Just make sure it's, you know, these are really nice brushes. Going to keep them nice. Put it over on my brush drying rack. Which is really just nothing more than just a spot, but it's all about the process. Alright, so he's good. We're going to put him over here. We've done something to him. Don't want to smear it. Put him to the side. Paint dries in, oh, I don't know, 15 minutes, something like that. So we can just, you know, next rotation, come around, pick him up, and do something else. So next, we have this guy. The man with the golden arm, as I call him. That was a fun little strategy, actually, to decide to paint his arm gold. The rest of his body's normal, because he has a Muti-Melta. These are all posed the same. They're all boring. So how do you make them different? You give one of them a golden arm. And, you know, it's kind of inspired by like a gladiator look kind of a little bit. That's what I was trying to go for. You know, but, you know, you'd see gladiators back in the day. They'd be shirtless, and then maybe they'd have like a golden arm, plate armor on one of their arms. But then, of course, they'd be like a naked man, or half-naked man, you know, on the rest of their body. Doesn't quite translate to an Ultramarine where it's like, well, the rest of the body is the blue armor, but then like he's got the golden arm. I guess the trade-off is he'll never miss when I roll for him in the game. Now he is actually broken. I actually broke him while I was painting because he is supposed to have this vehicle searchlight right up there. You know, just kind of a cool little bit. You know, again, just anything to make these monopose models look a little bit more unique. Anything that, you know, they stand out from the other Muti-Meltas. Although, I do have another Muti-Melta guy here. This guy's finished with, I don't know where the hell I got that light from, but a different type of searchlight. But I don't know, I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, you can imagine you're watching the movie Alien, you know, and these guys are going through dark tunnels or something, you know. I mean, they're looking at their little scanners on their short 24-inch, you know, Muti-Melta here. And, you know, they're going through dark corridors, just sweeping this searchlight, and they're looking for xenomorphs. They're blasting them. I don't know. I thought it was a cool kind of idea. So anyway, you know, let's start with his little searchlight bit. I've been slowly working on it. Yeah. And because I haven't painted in a little while, there's actually some little lumps of dust on there and other crap, so it's just always a good practice before, you know, you start putting paint on something. Just clean it off real quick with your dust brush. Just get all the dust out of there. You don't want to paint dust onto the model. So, and it's looking pretty easy on this, actually. These little vents on the back of his light, which, you know, go figure, the Space Marines don't have LEDs. They have gross incandescent bulbs or something, and they probably make a ton of heat, so you gotta have this heat sink on the back. But this little, we need to get black down into that crevice just a little bit better. Yeah, let's zoom in there just I'm seeing, I don't know, something down in there that's not black, so I'm gonna put a little bit more paint in there. Now this is something that the toothpick is absolutely great at. And there you can, oops. You can see I'm outside of the lines a little bit. But that's fine, this is the wipe technique I was talking about. So I'm just gonna wipe it with a clean finger. Now, if you guys are doing like a whole army at once like that, you'll find that you can only do so much wiping before your hands get, and not in my case here, but you can only do so much wiping before your hands get dirty, and then you actually start smearing paint back onto the model. So there's limitations here. You gotta, you know, wash your hands, and I guess in that case there I'm scratching it. I couldn't quite get my finger flush on it there, but you can also, you know, as long as the paint's very fresh, you can just very gently scratch it off with a toothpick. Alright, so that's all we're going to do on his camera, or not his camera, his searchlight. The man with the golden arm himself. Oops. Well, let's see here. So many options. I could do so many little things on this model. Where to start? Alright, I'll tell you what, while I got the black out, we're going to do the, I guess the hilt of his pistol here. Got some of that brown on it from the holster. We're going to get that back to a nice solid black color, which is what it's supposed to be. Again, another great application for a toothpick. You know, not too many people have like really tiny brushes that can get down into that spot. That's but a toothpick, I mean, it's just jam it right in. It's such a small surface that, you know, the texture doesn't matter so much. Not that toothpick painting necessarily gives a bad texture. It's just I wouldn't want to paint any appreciable, like, large flat surface, or it doesn't even have to be flat, but like, so for example, when I do the blue on these, brush, right? When I do the black on, you know, the hoses and the gaps in between the armor and all that, brush. When I do the golden trim here, that's toothpick, all right? And while I got this black out, the bottom of his handle here, as you can see, that hasn't been painted yet, so let's add a little bit of black onto there. Kind of getting some weird shadow effects there because of the LED on the camera. It's one of those things, as I'm painting it, I also know, like, yeah, I'm already kind of going outside of the lines again. I'm going to have to kind of do this, like, back and forth. I'll have to come back with blue later and clean up around that. But for now, we need to get the color black on there. Alright. So now, there's a hilt to the bottom of the gun, instead of just terminating in his fist. What else can we do on him? So we'll check our painting guide here, because I want to copy this guy. I don't want to, you know, paint, like, so these hoses here, right? On the last model, I painted those black. So on him, we're going to paint him black. These little hoses right here. And, you know, I frequently have to do that. I look at it and I'm like, well, even though I painted that other guy 6 months ago, I don't remember exactly, you know, which hose is supposed to be metal, which colored, which hose is supposed to be black. So, just a real quick check. And again, another great application for the toothpick. I'm probably going to have to scrap this whole video. I feel like I've been holding stuff off camera for most of it, but that's okay. These Marines will be getting more cycles of paint, quite a few actually, till they are done. And because my black paint is just like most of my paints, they're kind of a little watery, I'm actually going to not worry about it. That I can, you know, still see some blue shining through there. So it'll probably need another coat. And I'm off camera again. All right. Yep. So there we go. We got the first coat of the hose. And you might look at that and say, oh, well, you know, that looks kind of sloppy. That's kind of, you know, outside of the lines, whatnot. That's okay. Like I said, it's a big back and forth process. Maybe I didn't even go far enough along there, you know, and I needed to get more black, you know, but hey, it's too late now. If I try to put more paint on that now, it'll create these weird little, like, I don't want to call them plastic, but like dried paint chips, geometries, things that'll stick up and look bad. So, nope, let it dry. Let it become a nice surface. Because we love symmetry, we're going to do the other side right here, right now. Ooh, that was terrible. Almost as bad as my camera work today, huh? Uh-oh. How'd that get on there? Oh, running out of black paint in the lip. It's almost time. I like painting better than building in some respects because it's very mindless. I just feel like a mindless servitor. You know, I don't even have to think, you know, how am I going to build this? How am I going to, you know, what pieces go where, you know. Sky's the limit, you know, you got clay, you got pieces, you can cut it apart, glue it together, do whatever you want. That, you know, that's creativity. This is just copying something. Alright. Yeah. Alright, so and we got those nice black hoses on each side of his super backpack, or his Muti-Melta. Hunting xenomorphs in the tunnels under the Hive City. Alright. Let me shake my black here real quick because I know I'm just going to have to come back to it at some point. I feel like with Warhammer 40,000, I feel like black is probably one of the most commonly used colors across all model ranges, all of it. It's just, it's a utility color. It's just used so much. Alright, so the last guy here, very weird looking model here. Maybe it'll make a little bit more sense real quick if I put the lightning claw on here, on him. So, alright. This is a Space Marine Terminator in Artificer armor. Okay. So what I did was I got this, I think this is a Death Watch. No, not Death Watch. Death Wing. This is a Death Wing assault cannon. Death Wing Terminator assault cannon. That shoulder pad is a, well, that's Terminator honors, right? That's from the Sternguard Veteran Squad. Really cool shoulder pad. Yeah, I gave him like a Grey Knight torso. You know, just something cool. You know, he's got like a sword going through his skull, and it says vengeance. I'll have to work on that later. But I use this model, or I did up until recently, I used this model as a Space Marine company veteran. Now, if you take a squad of, if you take a 5-man squad of company veterans, you are allowed to bring 1 heavy weapon in the veteran team. In addition, that guy who has the heavy weapon can also be assigned a close combat weapon. You know, I looked through the book and I looked over and I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. You can't be holding a 2-handed, you know, Muti-Melta or whatever and have a lightning claw. That doesn't make sense. But I looked through the rules. I really think you can do it. And so this is the outcome, because this is actually from last season, before things got crazy here with Space Marines and, you know, with everything being free. Not that that affected company veterans anyway, but the general idea here is an assault cannon is not a standard Space Marine infantry heavy weapon. So whenever my buddy sees this and he's like, well, what the hell? You can't have an assault cannon. I'm like, hey, that's right. That's why it counts as a Muti-Melta or whatever other weapon I want it to be. And I actually have another model like this. I'll show it on a future video, but it is a Grey Knight Death Watch. You guys will have to let me know if that's even acceptable in the lore, but we'll save that for next time when I show that model, because I basically used a similar policy of he has like a psi cannon or something, and people look at that and they say, what the hell kind of gun is that? And because, well, it's like, well, I guess it can be whatever I want it to be, as long as I stick to my army list. But so yeah, usually I run this as a Muti-Melta. And like, I don't know, he looks kind of like a, you know, one of the Space Marine, or one of the Ultramarine First Company guys, you know, fighting on what is it, the Polar Defense Fortress on McCrag during the battle for McCrag. You know, so this guy died a couple hundred years ago, and this model is just a I don't know, in honor of the First Company that valiantly sacrificed their lives to defend McCrag. So anyway, what shall we paint on him today? Again, these models are just, I went above and beyond on the detail. I mean, these, you know, this is, I think, the legs from the stern guard. You know, they got the bib, and they got all this stuff on them. Just no surface is blank. Everything is something, like, so. Oh, so much work. That's the background of that model, though. So, you know, I'm trying to figure out here. We got this little skull icon here. I'm trying to figure out how I want to paint that. I don't know if I'm going to figure that out right now, but that's like one thing on the model that's like kind of really writer's block, painter's block, right? So I suppose since black is the color of the day, we're just going to do some cleanup here on his assault cannon. And like, come on, guys, like, isn't this cool looking? Like, to have just a dude rummaging around with an assault cannon and a lightning claw, blowing away Tyranids. Hell yeah. Yeah. I haven't even figured out how I'm gonna paint all the little bits and parts of this gun. It's a puzzle to me. As I slowly paint and figure out parts of it, I figure out the rest of the puzzle. So, you know, we got some, I mean, like, I don't know, you see this little line in here, right? Like, it's like, oh, I'll probably make that black at some point. It wouldn't make sense to do a copper or Even Ultramarines blue, that wouldn't even make sense. So actually, let's do it in black. Let's do it now. It's just a little crossbar. And some sort of like metal heat sink in there. Later in the project, that's going to be great. That's a great application for a wash, like Nuln oil. Oh, there it is. This stuff. You put Nuln oil in these little things here where you can feel it with a toothpick. There's little gaps. It's like there's a trench, then there's a raise, then a trench, a raise, and the washes they stick right in there. So a wash plus a dry brush with a bulk on metal. That'll be the final step there. But I'm not doing that right now. I'm doing other parts of this. This is a nightmare back here. Like, you know, how am I gonna, you know, what's gonna be metal, what's gonna be black, all that. Back in this, there's so much back in here. We'll get around to it later. And of course, while we're here, we'll do the same thing we did to the lightning claws about a half hour ago. This like flexible hosing here needs another coat of black on the inside of it. Now, I might not be able to do a wipe on that because, well, my finger isn't that small, so just have to leave it up. I'll leave that paint up on the surface, and we'll have to come back later and just do another coat of bulk on metal over it. Something about painting miniatures compared to, I shouldn't say not tapestry, but canvas. Canvas, you know, compared to painting canvas is there's just so much geometry to the piece. You're just constantly rotating the piece around. Try to get a good angle on some of this stuff, and it's not easy. And clean that up a little bit too while we're here. Oh, and look at that. I actually forgot to do the black and the lines right in there, right? So on a previous pass, I had forgot to do that. So let's do it now. Actually, I can't even see where they are down there. So I literally had to freehand those. I had to make it up. I don't even know if there may not be. Actually, that one right there, that one probably shouldn't exist. Just scratch it away. Maybe that one shouldn't exist. Whatever. Got that like little hexagonal ring right there too. On the base of the gun. I wonder if we're gonna, you know, make that one black. I think I should. Well, if you made it this far, I might as well tell you. In the future, I plan on doing some more condensed how-to videos, I think, on some of these, just some of the techniques. You know, not do these hour-long, just like, yep, just working, you know. I'll probably do one for magnets, actually. I'll show you guys how easy it is to do magnetization. Actually, this model, this guy, has a magnet under here. That's sticky tack or whatever. I'm going to throw that away. I'm going to eventually, when I'm done painting this model, I'm going to pry off that sticky tack right there. And then there's going to be a nice, illustrious magnet. That's good. You want to be able to see where your magnets are, so you know where to put your Here, check out this chaos. Get this left arm on the right socket. It's terrible. We'll paint that next, though. Let's see. Yeah, do a little bit more black here. For the record, I hate painting in front of this white LED coming out of the phone. Like, this looks... It's hard for me to see. It's not what I'm used to. I hope it makes it easier for you guys to see, but of course I've been holding off camera for probably the whole video. Yeah, I'm just gonna... As you can see, I'm just kind of, well, I got the black paint out. I got the black toothpick. I'm just kind of meandering. I'm just call them as I see them. I see things that are not colored correctly. And I'm just going through. Just kind of no process to it. Just kind of random. Just, you know, that's what I'm comfortable with. I mean, you can be very, you know, I'm going to paint exactly this, and I'm going to do it on all 10 models and whatever. I'm not like that today. I'm just kind of meander and just make progress. And that's his hand there. Yeah, so I don't want to accidentally paint his hand. I'm really meandering now. Hell yeah. I feel like when I meander, that's when I really get stuff done. Alright, you know what? Oh, ooh, but look at all of that back there. See that? That's a huge paint outside the lines issue right there. Let's clean that up. Yeah, you know what? It's down here too. Well, you can see there's a little chunk of something in the paint there. I just pick that out real quick with my toothpick and wipe it on the paper. You know, keep an eye out for that. There's, you know, sometimes there's little floating chunks in the paint or a piece of dust on the model or something. So just want to make sure we're not painting those onto this guy, because that doesn't honor the Ultramarines' first company and what they did during the Battle of McCragg. Of course, I haven't read that in 20 years, so maybe I'm misremembering that, but it sounds cool. Who wouldn't want to die defending a polar defense fortress? That sounds awesome. What are they doing down there? Yeah, why did the Tyranids want to get in there? Why was the Ultramarines' first company deployed? Ask the British. All right. Almost done here, which is great because my back is killing me. We got this arm here. This actually goes with this guy. And I guess I never really talked about him. I'm going to be using him as a Space Marine Lieutenant. Oops, there he is. And I love that helmet. That's such a cool brush helmet. That's also from this kit right here, except they painted theirs red. I don't paint my sergeants with or leadership or any of that with red helmets. I do white. I don't know why. I think it looks really nice with the Ultramarines blue. That's probably why I do it. So, but anyway, this is his arm with a storm bolter, magnetized, right? So, like, you know, he can with, you know, actually this, you can see the fun tack. We'll be pulling that off when he's done. And hell, keeping with the theme here of the color black, we're gonna do black on these little gaps here on the inside of his pauldron. You see how those have like some gold runniness in there. We want high contrast. High contrast. Ooh. And we're going to do a wipe right there. See? Another great example of it. You have this like pit with paint in it, but you don't want the paint up on the outside, right? Perfect example for using what I call the wipe technique. And I don't like using paper towel or tissue or anything like that for that, because it's those like leave little fibers and all kinds of crap. We don't want that. So we use the human finger. It's awesome. And it's reusable because you can wash your finger and come back. Alright, yeah, let's wipe those real quick. Notice when I'm doing the wipe, I don't paint all of these and then wipe them all, because it's, you want to get to it pretty quick, right? Before the paint starts drying on this upper surface, which we want to remain gold. And by the way, that gold, that's just classic shining gold. But I kid you guys not, this this part I actually did with brush, this toothpick, but this is like 12 coats of gold. I am not kidding. And like Mr. Guy with the golden arm here, and like the gold on his chest. I'm not kidding, guys. That's like 12 coats of paint. All right. You want with the metallics, or maybe it's just my gold. My gold paint's a little screwed up, probably a little watery. I'll admit that. But if you want to get a really, really nice gold color, and of course, you know, the human eye just loves the color gold. We can't help it as a species. But if you want to get a really nice, rich gold color like that, you got to do like 10 coats. And that's fine, you know. I like painting gold. I can look at gold all day. I love it. So there we go. All right. And what else can we do to him here? A little more. All right, so see the line in the magazine there? You see how there's a little bit of bulk on metal stuck in that line right there on his, on his magazine. We're just gonna put a little bit of black in there and then do a wipe. See? Better. Again, we want that high contrast. You know, if the sculptors went about putting those little lines in the model right there, that they did that to make life super easy for the painter, because you can just put the paint, you know, with a toothpick or whatever, you can just put the paint right down in that little trench, and it just you get these really nice, perfectly straight lines. Unlike these gross free-handed lines with the towel pieces we did earlier. So that is what I would call one paint cycle, one painting rotation. Here, we can look at all the good stuff here. That took about 70 minutes. So, you know, this would be a great time to go take a break. And wash my hands, you know, drink some water, and come right on back. And then, you know, if I was painting all day, I would come right on back, and I would start the whole cycle anew. So I'd grab this stuff. Remember this thing from the beginning of the video? This is it's been sitting here drying for about 45 minutes, so it's nice and dry. I can now paint it again. And I'll go through the Tau stuff, and then I go through the Marine stuff, and that's another cycle. That's how you paint.